Welcome back to the farm. So, a couple days ago, last 2 days, beautiful weather. 60s, sunny, awesome. Today, winter storm advisory, sleet, rain, snow. I guess over the next 2 days, we're predicted to get anywhere from 3 to 6 inches of snow. So, that's going to be fun. But what's made everything even greater is the fact that 2 days ago, our well stopped working. So, we were out of water. Now, I did my normal thing, found a new switch in the shed, tried it didn't work, went to town, got 2 new switches, tried them both, still couldn't get it work. I had power going to the switch and I had power coming out of the switch, but no water. So that meant that it's the actual well pump itself. So, I'm not able to actually replace that by myself because I don't have the tools and I don't have the knowledge for something like that. Never done it before. So what we did is we ended up calling a company yesterday. It was a little later in the day that I got a hold of them and made arrangements, so they're out here today to actually pop open the well and pull out the pump. So I just drove up to the windmill lot because he's here. It's Rusty Hout and Sons. Believe they're out of Coal Camp, Missouri. So he's setting up now. I figure let's go introduce ourselves and let's see what's going on. So when I got out there, he was already set up and he's starting to take the cap off the well. And this was a very interesting process to watch. This is probably something you could do if you have the experience and if you have the right tools. My biggest fear with this job is might run into dropping something down in the well pit. He had a very interesting clamp that would clamp onto the pipe and would hold the pipe wherever it was so it wouldn't slide further down in the pit. Along with it, he had a reel on the truck that held constant tension on the electrical wire. So as he lifts that pipe up, the hydraulics on that reel would automatically tension that wire. So if something were to give way, whether the pipe were to crumble or what have you, in theory, that winch that's on the right side of the truck would actually support the weight of your pump and any pipe that you might have. So if something were to go wrong, you wouldn't be dropping all your pieces and parts down into your well pit. This process went very smoothly. I was so impressed with this crew, and it really, by crew, it was just him. This crane, supposedly with the proper setup, can lift 15,000 pounds is what he told me. I think as it's set up, it can only lift 1,000 pounds, maybe 2,000, don't quote me on that, but it was a very impressive setup. So, doing this by hand, it would have been an absolute nightmare. It was well worth our time and money to have him come in. Because when I left the house, I had just laid the babies down, and every now and then, like just there, I walked over to the truck, and that was me checking on the baby monitor. He was able to get all this pipe out and put it all back in and get water flowing in the amount of my baby's first nap time. So that was probably an hour, maybe an hour and 30 minutes. So this is the check valve that was in the old setup. That valve is broken, so we went ahead and took it out of the system. Apparently with the new pump that we put in, it comes with a built-in check valve, so this check valve right here is no longer needed. The PVC pipes are 1.25 inch, 20-foot sections. They're just screwed together, so with the 2 pipe wrenches, he was able to connect or disconnect each section. And with the way he lays this out, it was very handy for him to just pull each pipe out, lay it down in order, so that way you could guesstimate approximately where your water line is. Our pump was set at 240 feet deep. The water line, I believe, is 160 feet-ish. And then here is the old submersible pump. This was a 1.5 horsepower pump that has failed. He was rating 9 amps off of the pump when he first got here, so the pump was trying to do something. Our best guess is it just broke the impellers on the inside, so as much as that motor would spin, it was done. Now, again, each section of pipe is a 20-foot section. There's threaded ends on the bottom ends and a coupler on the top. So, and then right there in the middle of the screen where that little line's pointed, that was the water line at 130 feet or so. And that piece on the right hand side of the screen, that is a brass fitting that actually supports all the weight. It slides into a fitting on the casing of the well, so all the weight of the pump is right there. And then this is our new Red Jacket series. It's a 1 horsepower, so it is a little bit smaller, but we're thinking that with the size of our head tank, with as shallow as our well is, that 1.5 horsepower was just overkill, and that might have, along with some other contributing factors, led to its demise. But keep in mind that's also was a 17-year-old pump, so things to keep in mind if you're buying a farm. You probably want to put money away and have some money on hand for when you do have your well go out. This was a big problem over the last couple of days with us not having water. This was also this was a pretty expensive pump. I think the pump itself was about $1,300, and total bill was pricey. But, you know, this was a very specialized job, very specialized tools. I mean, this guy came in and he just did it. So as he tightened everything down, he took that new wire and electrical taped above and below the unions to keep that wire from spinning around, getting fouled up, keep everything nice and neat. This was a very fascinating day to watch this happen, and I was amazed at how quick and efficient he was. I mean, as expensive as it was, he was well worth the money. I mean, to do this by hand, oh goodness, this probably would have taken me 10-12 hours to do if I was trying to do this by hand, if not longer. I mean, and I don't even know where to start on this. I mean, he just had all the right pieces and parts and tools, and it was just quick and easy and efficient. Never mind the fact that he was actually fun to talk to. I mean, the fact the babies were napping, and I was able to just stay out there and watch him, and he put up with my chitter-chattering and asking questions, and he was a very pleasant man to just talk to and hang out with. And he seemed very knowledgeable on this system. We talked about this specific well, future projects we want to do that are plumbing related, and he gave us some really good tips and advice of where I think I want to take the farm construction wise and how best to do that and tie into our current plumbing system. So definitely taking his advice into consideration for going forward. And here we are, we're just, that was the last pipe to get screwed back on, and he just lowers it back down with the crane. Again, it was a fascinating process to watch. So at this point, he's just taping up the last of the electrical wire, and then he's going to connect the wire that goes down to the pump to the wire that actually goes into the well pit. And at this point, we're pretty much done. He's just flipped on the power again, and he's letting the pump run, and we now have water. So you can see water coming out. He's going to let this run for a couple of minutes, because we stirred up a whole lot of that sediment at the bottom of the well in this process. So by letting it run, it's getting all the black and crud, kind of everything that's been broken up is getting flushed out of the system. This little brass fitting is the fitting that slides into a bracket on the well pipe itself. So all of the weight of the pipe is supported by that. And that was the completion, start to finish, of replacing a well pump. So this is something that I'll probably never get into myself. If this well pump ever goes out again, I'm calling this company up and going to have them come out and fix it. Now, we're looking through the manuals. It looks like this pump should last about, I think I read 15 years, 10 years is what it's expected, somewhere in there. This gentleman told me that he expects it to last 20 years. So hopefully we get a good 20 years out of it. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe us. and hope you enjoy watching our other videos. Good luck to you and your next projects.